We ready? Ready? Need a minute? Whoops, that happens sometimes. It probably, I don't know. The default programming is probably when the player gets activated or whatever, play an ad. I don't know. I can't explain it. Probably just the easiest way to do it. But, good to go. Let's do this. Take some water. I love Gina's theme, by the way. It's so good. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence, that you'd stand by me to the last? I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato. I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I know better, you know. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pulled a knife blade from Miss Brett's back. There was just a brief moment when in my mind, I doubted you. Susato, I'm sorry. I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side. I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh no, no, no. Oh no, no, no. I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father, that fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. The rain has gone. So, Ray, can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. Oh. I was so scared, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you I'm going to prove everything you said you saw is true. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I certainly expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Chemical reagent? I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. God bless you all for sitting through my beautiful voice for Professor Mikotoba. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet. It's this newspaper art. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing. What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory? That so-called English lady swanned in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about the work on that substance there." You put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity hadn't been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. Then Soseki-san knew about the poison. Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing off the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. This Memo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh? A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki-san had pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so he was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Ah! Okay. Oh, I was worried for a second. I saw the mic source, not with nothing in it. I was like, oh, please tell me my mic's not muted. Oh, thank God. Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel? You just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense Attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes! Ray has put her faith in me now and told me everything, so I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she said telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. This is so cool that we get to witness Susato doing all of this. She gets to develop a little bit. I was wondering how they were going to get her back into the story. Oh, Auchi. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Rei Membami. Prosecutor Auchi, have you summoned a new witness? Before I address that question, Your Excellency, what? I have some very important news to share. Oh? What news? And why does he look so happy about it? During the recess with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Mr. Zelbrecht's life. Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter. Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course. I had the reagent delivered to police headquarters by rickshaw, so it'd be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And counsel, what were the results? This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it. Oh, well. Armed with the reagent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. Oh, it's in the pen. In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Oh, is it the pen? Don't get me started on this. What happened was she got stabbed, and then they used the pen to administer some of the poison or something. That's probably what happened. They poisoned the ink, maybe. Think this will be a spirit of justice kind of deal? Or I don't know. I could not tell you. That would be interesting. She has her own theme song, so I imagine that they have to do more with her. Now, the prosecution is ready to call its new witness. I can't wait to see how this goes. The newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness. Forgot the voice. No trace of poison on the knife, but if that's really the case... Are her pupils dilated? How could the toxin have entered into the victim's body? I'm telling you, there was a way. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Writing man a memo of the Show You News. I'm what people like to call a journo. What's a journo, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there when the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops, so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. Nice guy of news. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, what have we here? I'm sorry? Ooh, brace yourselves, people. Man, a memo senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold at 72 point in a 5-leg format for the morning edition. Huh? Right then. Let's start with your name. Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo. Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I spotted Kazuma-sama's dream for a while. By the way, the name's Taketsuchi Auchi. That's Taketsuchi A-U-Chi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart. They strike something into my heart, and I think it's indigestion. In my stomach, I guess, actually. Strike something to my stomach. God, I need to stop messing up these roasts. No, the readers won't buy that. What? The readers are smart, I guess. Yes. What the court demands to know is whether or not you're responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, but sometimes I have to chase them. Sometimes I gotta chase them down. Either way, you gotta be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't know down, I always say. That's what I call many-memoism. Many-memoism? Ah yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Soseki-san. Yes, right. That was me, many-memo again. But you were supposed to be going back to the Show You News offices after our meeting. The scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Miss Brett's words? A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse done. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man. These are complex political issues at play. There's nothing complex about you, old man. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down the words they said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all right here. Right here it goes. I should like to go, everyone. I should like to go with everyone say your country's coast. Serious criminal going on some junket. These people need to know about this. So I decided to sneak after him. To get the woman's story, so I could hammer in the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journal eyes. From start to finish, he's a little muscular, ain't he? Like, look at him. Start to finish through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Thank you, Many-Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed at the event surrounding Miss Brett's death. The camera never lasts. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screen, so there was plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The angle film was put on the stool when the student girl came in, started arguing with her. Oh, I see whose pen it is. RM, writing many memo, found it. She was in there. Seconds later, the girl put out a knife, throwing the English woman to the floor as he stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst into flames, quick as a flash. I whipped out my camera ready to blink. I pulled apart the rear bogies of one of the screens and put the lens through the spark shower. Read screens, you say? Right, you can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds.
Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat.
It was great for me. Ignoring for the time the appalling invasion of privacy involved. Did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. And you say you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens? Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was a gamble of a lifetime. The tenacity of purpose is considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's many minimalism in a nutshell.
At last, here we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict.
Oh. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, that could be a good voice for him. It's friggin' Professor Oak.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question.
What question? You were close.
Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published?
Oh. Right.
It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
More pathetic excuses.
Very well then, counsel, proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest.
Hold it!
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Call it journo instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because, well, as well as being a proven criminal ever since I was a young woman. Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journo as a voyeur. Hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without a woman's knowledge. Woman's knowledge. Nope, you got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? In my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender, man or woman, it's all news. That type of many memoism is basic journalism. I think we could all learn a thing or two from Scoop. Maybe. Only the courtroom is as indiscriminate. Right, so that's all buttoned up. Can we move on?
Tell the court then, witness, what sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut?
Besides, that vindicated my journal instinct. That's what, when I pulled back the reads, I could see it as clear as day. Nails almost in on the ceiling, yeah.
Hold it!
You actually saw Membami-san enter the hut? Yeah, probably. Yep, and she was raging like my journo spirit. This pun is better than anything the English, the usual localization could have come up with, though. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly? You stole it, I didn't steal it, that kind of thing. What the poison, I suppose. Student girl walked right up to the English woman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she'd laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs. Right? The hell does that mean?
The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism.
The student's rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. Really ought to work on the similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry. Her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Seconds later, the girl pulled out an oak.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ah, the precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole cell swing play out, start to finish. I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed. Right, you are. It's all here in my memo pad. It would be right. It would be in the middle, I think. Like right there. Top middle. Oh, no, I was wrong. Victim's there. Yes, the accused's own nurse, Money confirms that. Sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. My turn to testify now, try not to interrupt. Ugh. Then the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. Things went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, the plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. I could see Manny Memo, yeah.
It describes a grim crime indeed.
Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what Manny Memoism says. Okay, cool. Hold on. Be right back. My apologies for the sudden intermission. I needed to take a phone call. By the way, Manny Memos, just you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes, the gap in the screen. Oh, that's right, I was gonna check the thing here. Where was he? I need to know where he was, very much. Did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Journalists have to be observers, we can't get involved, that's our raison d'etre. You didn't converse with Miss Brett at all, that is awful reasoning. Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of, is it? This is why bullying exists. Have you never heard of the bystander effect? You are what is wrong with the world. Your Excellency, if I may.
Yes, Professor?
I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement could perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you... Minimo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of minimalism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. Nihilism is also the foundation of being a grad student. Funny fun fact. Okay, so why was your pen in there, bitch?
Objection!
Minimo-san, until now I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The rest doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. Democracy dies in darkness. Unless, however, that darkness is a paywall, in which case we do not care. In a way, that's more minimism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. But what are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel? Minimo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? Ah! This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murder victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you... It's for, I think. If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. RM. Yes, thank you for bringing that out, Counsel. The initials of the accused. Remember. Okay, it's 5. Okay. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM? No. No. Right in many memo. RM. That's horse dumb. No, that's the prosecutor over there, dude. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of many memoism is being a pencil user. Yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is? Horse done. Stop talking to the prosecutor. I'm talking to you. Many Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Objection!
Yes. Lady. Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. Exactly. Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I'm not everything. There must be as many people with initials RM as there are stars in that sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who his owner really is.
In that case, Counsel, yeah, I know.
Of course, Your Excellency.
Got it!
As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on the fountain. An emblem that you, of course, recognize many memos on.
Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Show You News.
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Show You News whose initials are RM. Suddenly, the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Many Mamo-san, how do you respond? No. Damn, he got a little caked up though too. You see that? Double cheeked up.
Order, explain yourself, witness.
So this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets? I've used nothing but honesty. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not too long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, as a Show You News reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. That is perjury. An interview? You never mentioned this before. When exactly was this? As I said, it was before the evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. I couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing, as we may say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news.
However insignificant you describe to be, the court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired.
Got it, it's alright, but one condition.
It's gonna be about your scoop, isn't it?
A condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Sozeki Natsume-san. Sozeki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own, and brace yourselves, it's not a harmless one. It's big. Okay, yeah, he's got a big private one. Big deal. Many memoirism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Unethical.
Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the early witness back to the stand.
Sozeki-san, hiding something?
The witness's secret.
I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left that without making some fuss. Then, watching secretly from the outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many minimalism demands that I reveal it now.
You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness?
Well, and when she did, you decided to ask her
You decided to ask her a question?
That's, true, yes.
He did. And that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination be conducted here. Court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. Court has claimed that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow? What on earth could have happened in that plot?
Hold it!
You asked her for an interview, you say. Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year about the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life. That's not the way I phrased it. Mini Memo wasn't called for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson is how I put it to her. Yes, that sort of talking is straight as a ruler. Ask every question as if you're asking for the menu at a restaurant. Say it's the best way. Veteran at the paper taught me that. How did Miss Brett answer? With one simple frame. Mystery is a woman's charm. That told me. So I realized I waltzed right out of there. Really, something about that doesn't fit it together. Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall. I say it's the best way. Veteran at the paper taught me that. Then, yep.
Hold it!
This was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett has just turned you away. Persistence wins prize. Many memoists will tell you that. There's only one. Let them think you've left, and then just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this photograph. Although I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence. Actually, it's thanks to this photograph that we managed to identify this witness. And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I got nothing to hide. I'm sure. Please do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it. The detective and Soseki-san remained behind in the hut. That's right, yep. Our author friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging.
What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me was traveling abroad, back behind baleful bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I were grasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat.
Of course, Soseki-san, his experiences in London have scarred him deeply. As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly decided to pray to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely. No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please.
Of course.
And now we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. Oh, what was that question?
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say? Well, now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Ratterman? Oh. I'll put that, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman?
Well, in truth, I'd be catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see.
Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose.
Even for a grown man.
But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Right. I ran out to the beach, see what was happening, but to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. It punctured a lung. I don't think she'll be able to talk. As Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman.
I nearly jumped out of my skin.
What did you ask her, Soseki-san?
I asked her, who did this to you?
Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond?
She didn't. She said nothing in response. But when in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously.
Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony.
I will.
Hold it!
So you tried to find out who the culprit was. He who asks a question is a fool for a minute, but he who does not remains a fool forever. Having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Twice.
Better be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever.
However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond. Is that correct?
I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache, because I'm Japanese.
Oh dear, Suzaki-san has really developed a dislike for the English, it seems.
Having read the report in his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia.
But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all, did she, Mr. Ratterman?
Well, yes, alright. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. Just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Hold it!
Start pointed a finger at the defendant. Suzaki-san, is that really true?
Not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut,
What did that say? The Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us.
the student girl standing on the far side of her.
The Englishwoman summoned her one last ounce of strength and pointed to a trembling finger at the back of the hut.
Which was, it can't be denied, the direction of the student girl who stands accused today.
No. Suzaki-san, why did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony?
Fiddlesticks, I say.
This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese.
Yes, of course, the Englishwoman did point to her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly. In a very different direction where the student girl was standing. Just somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all.
You mean that your memory of the events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection!
Your Excellency, sure that these proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may have barely been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly, but there could be no doubt this was an attempt on by the victim to confirm the identity of their assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. Where was Manny Memorable? It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime.
I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No. No! Yeah, the bill has rotten itself. Dash and lawyer's hopes dash. 92 point across the whole page for the next edition.
A serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet.
Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Knowing all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. He told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut listening to what I was saying, and then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. Miss Brett had been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray. Somewhere amid all the information that we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on the matter.
The crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? I think I know.
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, Counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternative theory? Ha! None exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed the crime. What? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time, by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction, fantasy.
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Yes, Your Excellency.
You will present your latest theory of the court by means of this plan.
Assume it's outside of the beach hut.
Take that!
If you can put a camera in there, you can stick a knife through. Naruhodo-san would never give up. And I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, Counsel?
The same culprit was outside the hut. What?
Order, order, order! But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire. That makes no sense at all.
You just pointed out the exact point where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitered about, I can swear to that. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. No, you could. Actually, Prosecutor Auchi, there is a way. Ah! And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that this is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing. You're bluffing, you yokel.
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, Counsel.
This picture. I think. What else would it be? I think it's this picture.
Take that!
Uh-oh. Oh good, I have more of them. Oh, wait a minute. It's in the other picture. You can see it right there. There's a slit in the... Duh.
Take that!
My bad.
The original photographic print of the crime scene.
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is... Oh my god.
Take that!
Look closely, just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. No, I can't. I can't see any such thing because you're blind. That's why you come out of the house looking like that every day. It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect, however. By parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary.
Yes. True culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut.
Ah.
And of everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right then, Menimemo-san, it could only have been you. No. No.
Objection!
The preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? are we to assume as part of this farcical scenario that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not. Why not? If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Bratt. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool? Yeah, you look like one, dude. Have another look at the photograph. Slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool.
Alright, so in fact the victim was...
Killed with sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen. Ah! Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut, before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is absurd!
That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, the court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means the defendant Membami-san is innocent of the crime.
Oh, thank goodness, it's not over. There's no breakdown. You made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud. It ain't over, Dad.
No, this can't be. The Auchi clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope. It was all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will do.
Yep. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, does it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and then branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reed screen walls.
And nobody but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. Perfectly logical deduction.
So your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the infamous, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed, it doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already so and the whole thing hinges on something else. Alright, whatever, dude. What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because the dirt you dug up. It's the poison, right?
What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness.
What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? It's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right?
That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used.
I see. So presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Ah!
Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely. If she'd been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
Shit. How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom in the back and with whose blade. Because quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison. Oh. I have a theory. The same way that he kind of... You know, you sometimes when you're writing something down, you kind of lick your finger. Maybe like something... to wet the ink or something, maybe you lick the... I don't know, but like maybe that has something to do with it. She basically ingested the poison in a small dose by licking her finger or something like that had ink on it.
Objection!
Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings at the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted improving. That the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. Well, let me get this down. Facts as skillfully established by the defense in this trial turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Ugh. Well... How many times are you gonna get shot? What do you, Taro?
Order, order, order. Where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There is an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it.
You mean she drank it?
Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked into the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either.
Somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. He looks like some actor. It made no sense at all that poisoned the woman. Would it? I mean, that's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe given the person who established it. It was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Ooh, let me capture his wide eyes. This proud press father, this is.
It would seem this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony.
That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency.
Claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim.
I'm a journal and a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. I'm not about to start now, because that's minimalism. I hear that word one more time, I swear to God. For a brief moment, I thought I'd eliminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us? Here we go. Allegro time? Yep. Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and that's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish her for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. Uh-huh. So you admit it, then? That everything happened as I described? That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen? You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. That's why I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. Get her done, babe. As someone who spends his life seeing the truth told. I feel really, really awful by having given false information in my testimony before. As it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim that got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave that poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. Suddenly, snap. The journal here is off the hook.
The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison itself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, the reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last. This is unbelievable. And after I made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he gonna get away with it now? Come on, Susie. You got this. Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Test the pen for poison. There's still liquid in it, and that's important.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Do I have the poison testing machine in evidence? I do. The label appears to be written in a foreign language. It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be a little help here, I'm afraid. Couldn't you have just written medicine on in Japanese? Then we'd all be worried.
German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in labeling the spell in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate.
Alright, let's see. Because I definitely think the pen has the poison. Yes, Your Excellency.
Okay.
Hold it!
So, you do admit that you had murderous intent towards Miss Breton? Ah, the woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation? She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here on our Empire soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance, so I had to step in. Light flag of justice, put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to it. So in summary, murderous intentions then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was a black, so what I had to do was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock, a crime for which she must pay. What? Obviously, because poisoning was nothing to do with the murder with me at all.
God, I love this song. Largo's right.
It had to grow on me a little bit, but I really love it.
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, that'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these. Belt and suspenders is actually one of the biggest fashion faux pas you can make. Don't do it. The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. The crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, yokel. Who knows, you may even learn something here today.
2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes? Quite a day for the victim.
Do something that evil and you got it coming. That's how the law works, the law of reckoning. That is not the kind of law to support up.
You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim, then, witness.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in the restaurant.
In the restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The young girl was laying into the Englishwoman, killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson.
It's John H. Wilson, a professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less.
Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. Hi, Ray. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray, young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all of this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen.
Return to the dock at once, Memami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what this defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
But, Your Excellency...
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes a regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh, thank you so much, Your Excellency. Oh, it has nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. Really? Stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it? I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed in the government.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave, even if even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikotova until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. And as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. And since Sozeki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that.
Oh, what the hell is all this about? To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it, the whole government even. It'd be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Oh yes, many Memo-san. One small question if you don't mind.
I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy?
Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you heard.
Exclusive, deadly poison
stolen from UMA Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Show You News.
You know, I just thought about Show You News. They show you the news, yeah.
The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else.
Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this. The entire article is almost what I said to Miss Brett word for word. Ah. Well, Mini-Mama-san? As journo and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's founding principle of Many-Memoism. Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up. My stories never stink. Only the prosecutor there does. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. I want it to go on record.
Very well. You may amend your formal testimony.
Yep, that's it.
Objection!
Because the poison has unique side effects. Well, I can think of one reason.
But what?
Before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all of the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course he did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin.
And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Memami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to slip the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel? Many-Memo-san has made it clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it.
which means Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Memory saw enter the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Minimemo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, it's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Ah! Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membami-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered the unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, write in Minimemo. Look, it's The Great Pursuit is back. I love this song. I'm such a sucker for string instruments. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim, but you quickly realized that it was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts, but you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. You hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Attention!
But what could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction, but he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he?
Exactly, because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would have ever suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant they would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order, order, order. The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
Objection!
Well, how, dude? Prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope. Lost hope?
Good line there.
Desperation thing where he's gonna be like, how did he do it? How did I do it? You pathetic, useless fallen samurai. Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is in fact... I don't need a counter-argument. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. He threw it on the ground. He burnt it to the ground, yeah. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it sound also plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on that.
Right. What do you mean? Explain yourself.
I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial, it's all here, in many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Show You News is famous for. Power of the printed word.
Surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed by the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
How's that then? Blowing the story wide open? See, writing many memo. I'm your reporter from the Show You News. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. Ah!
Oh, poor Susie.
You're so close, girl, and we got this. But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? My point is this. There's one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. The pen.
I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What did the court must be shown as evidence?
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our countries for the first time some 15 years ago now. I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else, these newfangled pens are merely a fad. Oh, there's.
Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, I obviously love my fountain pen. Suck up a soupçon of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye.
That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this talk of sucking up ink have to do? And it's just as possible to suck up ink into the reservoir. It's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course.
What? Can this really be?
Well, Many Memo-san. When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Bring back the pursuit, yes!
Objection!
More absurdity, that never happened. True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places?
No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that when this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Many Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim, and when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled his reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Yes, what do you have to say in your defense?
So this is how our modern justice system works, does it? What if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? Oh, Wolverine! I can always claw my way back into the game. I got plenty in reserve. Ah. He just got the sideburns for Wolverine, actually, now that I think about it. That's probably who I was thinking. He doesn't really look like Hugh Jackman that much to me, but he definitely has the Wolverine sideburns going on. You claim I sucked up the poison into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again.
It looks like, though, this is going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence.
Oh, I can. No such evidence can possibly exist.
Objection!
Many Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then. I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. This is it then. Yep, I know it. I know it's the final piece in the puzzle, but we got this. Girl.
Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that could identify the poison in question. Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. A reagent? What? One drop of the contents in this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. Yeah. This is my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head as high as a civilized nation, but bowing its head to every foreign power. I took up arms and formed the mighty pen. While tacitly my battlefield news, all in the name of justice and rightness, and many memories of its foundation of justice, many memo. Susato, with me. I'm there. Yes! Oh, that was brilliant. Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Get him! That was fantastic. Oh my god, I loved it. Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it there in the lab, poison, the devil got a hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. I used myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes. That's right.
Answer me one thing, Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose?
Isn't it obvious to find out what it was made of and expose it in an article? I mean, it was a secret project and all, too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead? I went into that hunt intended to quiz her on her situation, that's all, as a reporter. A known killer, enjoying full freedom, invading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face. What's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really? You must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, a free press. It's really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, but you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf! Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. I would have done it too, honestly. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. A terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. Couldn't let it get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up. Painful and Einhorn, I know. Okay, but like, honestly, if we're being honest, despite the fact that he's a tabloid writer, and, you know, he did all that shady stuff, he has done more good for the world by killing Giselle Brett than Lotta Hart and Nicole Swift have both done ever. That is my final position on the topic. I'd like to ask you something. Yes? Yes? You have to talk about justice. Surely, as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Lotta Hart has committed perjury on 2 occasions. She testified against Maya on the second one. And she committed perjury to get against Edgeworth as well in the first time she showed up. Not to mention, she has an extreme habit of just making everything she's around more annoying. Now, I don't think Lotta's a bad character. Like, I think Lotta's fine. But, like, in the grand scheme of the journalists that we have seen in this game, in this series, it's like Lotta Hart, Nicole Swift, Miriam Scuttlebutt, and Wright and Many Memo. And honestly, this one has done the most good for the world. After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in that courtroom. Finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on. Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consular jurisdiction could never come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. You know what happened? The editors tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Minimamo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. That's the problem. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. The gif of Larry David, like, he's a little better than Giselle Brett. He did try to frame an innocent woman. I will give her that. I will give him that. I will give it that. And that is wrong, very wrong. I don't approve of that, but like, I feel like Giselle Brett was like not a loss, so it's like, whatever. What? What? Truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. That I will kind of agree with, honestly. I suppose.
It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Also for the defense, Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Oh. Yes, I'm sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable this is your first experience at the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruhodo's... Hironosuke?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one gives me hope that we're genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Auchi, do you have any final thoughts?
He doesn't think. What is he gonna do? Prosecutor Auchi? Taketsuchi of the Auchi clan. I've been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. Huh? If there's any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Oh my. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Rather than living on in shame. Was he gonna cut off his hair? The growth? I will end it all now with this blade. But that is the true path to Auchiism. Auchiism?
One hopes it's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness.
Sprig of my top knot. The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. They wouldn't do that. But I love that they're making it look like it. Incredible cut you've got there. That was a really clean cut. I have to admit, proud. Isn't seppuku, by definition, by yourself? That was hilarious. That was so funny. They really tried to make it look. That was so funny.
Oh, in regards to the defendant, Ray Membami-san.
Yeah, but the judge is not his friend. He doesn't have a friend. Yes, Your Excellency?
I've reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty.
Look at the flower petals, the cherry blossom petals, so cute.
Court is adjourned.
Well, that was great. That was a fantastic first case. I don't think it's my favorite first case. I still think 4-1 tops it. But it was great. Absolutely top tier. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! 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 Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Great, and Mother. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything. No, I think I'm gonna cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh, thank you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Sato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, right? At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man. And it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anyone else we could throw together?
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh my goodness, no, of course not. Of course not. Ah, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, Defense Attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. Shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame.
What? What is happening?
Ah, Suzaki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I hope you've been keeping well. Is that...
Really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Susato Mikotoba.
I don't... So dashing, so divine. No. Doubly dashing, yes, and doubly devilishly divine. Just look at you.
So everyone, all these people are bi-curious. That's cool.
I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san Esquires' cousin. Astonishingly astounding. This ace attorney. He said the words. He said the words.
Yes. Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I'm glad they found out. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan, found himself embroiled in. Oh, there's Fair Play, that lady, him, Garadeb, Structure Man, and the surgeon again. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense of the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. In only 9 months.
I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm the Chief Inspector of the Police Bureau, who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many facets, I see.
Just two, really, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, it's not. You're gonna get back to that thing. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector.
Well, I am a professional, of course.
I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. I'm glad he came back. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant, but kept his name. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it? It's my son.
From my perspective, I have to admit I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? Now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer.
On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course.
Ah, my arch nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helps him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. Oh. If that's really true. I mean, I knew that. I figured that part out, but like, if that's tied into the motive, I would not have thought about that. And the poor girl will never see her beloved father again.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University, but I also serve another role as advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? Oh. Oh my god. It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of.
Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't.
Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Many minutes. Oh, son. Oh, one throw wasn't enough for you. I've got one thing, last thing to say before they take me away, Professor.
Me?
I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on with that visiting student's fate.
Visiting student?
Giselle Bretchman? No, not her. The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago. Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never... Oh my god. The judge? Well, I didn't expect to find him here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugene. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency. Ha ha ha. The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. I'm merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. May I say, since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance, Susato. Did you know all along from the start of the trial? Ha ha ha! The judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here hadn't known, then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand. As an old friend, so Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go, Father. Sorry, my dear, we'll have to return. Did they change the... Oh, I can't see the court record, of course. We'll have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha. Judge has a name. The judge has a name! What could Father be hiding from about Giselle Brett? Wilson? Now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotoba-san, Esquire, could I have a word? Oh yes, of course, Soseki-san, what is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once. I will. Quietly, please. As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. It was the very next day he sent a telegram to you, asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in. I don't really know exactly. But do you remember then the two terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course, I can never forget. Father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one, you mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. The horrible, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought the whole business was over, but it seems like I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Sosek-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Ow. Wow, 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 wow. This opens so many doors. I need to know what is happening. I'm not going to start another case until like next Sunday, but I need to know. Okay? Wait. I'm invested. I'm extremely invested. This is crazy. This game is already shaping. GAA is only going to be Sundays for the next 2 weeks because I won't be able to stream this coming Friday because I'll be at home, and I have a prior engagement on another friend's channel next Friday. So I will make notes of that in the schedule. That's fine. I wanted to make that clear at the beginning of this stream and at the end. So, that's just something to keep in mind. I just wanted to let everybody know about that. So thank you all for coming out. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Wow. Incredible. It's gonna boot me into another thing, I think, so I think now is a good point for me to end here. So let's see, it's actually fairly early in the evening, so we might actually have someone to raid for once. Following. Let's see who's live right now that I could possibly raid. When was the last time I raided Liam? Yeah, I'll raid Liam. Why not? Can't remember. Raid Liam 6. But first I gotta come up with a raid message. How about let's just do this. The game just started and I'm already hooked. That'll be the raid message tonight. Let's go send Liam some love as he does his late night luck check game, which is an interactive Twitch experience. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good night, everyone. Oh wait, I have to do all this. Raid Liam 6. For anybody who is not in the Discord, you can join at this link. We would love to have you. We're a really nice set of people. I mean, I love my Discord very much. We talk about whatever. I mean, we play crossword puzzles if you're interested in that. So just a mini crossword puzzle. Plenty of stuff. Always we strive to be nice to each other, so that's good. And if for some reason you want, follow me on Twitter. That exists too. I don't get why, but like you do you. I get sci shit posts sometimes, and sometimes I post stream updates. It's all good with me. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. So let's get over there, shall we? Here's the raid message one more time. I'll give you like 5 seconds to copy that. And then we're gonna go. Bye.